This is Larry Jordan, the host of the Digital Production Buzz. The following interview is an excerpt from a recent program. To hear the entire program, visit digitalproductionbuzz.com. Chris Bross is the Chief Technology Officer at DriveSavers. They specialize in data recovery and forensics. Chris guides the development of new tools, technology, and techniques to recover critical user data. Since joining the company in 1995, Chris has found ways to recover data from hard drives, SSD, and RAIDs that have suffered from abuse, neglect, floods, fire, and failure. Hello, Chris. Welcome.
Hello, Larry, and thanks for the opportunity to speak with you.
Chris, we're glad to have you with us. In this last segment, we talked with Larry O'Connor at OWC about RAIDs and hard drives. How can DriveSavers help us if a hard drive dies?
Well, that's an excellent question, and of course, it's why we exist. We're like the emergency room for hard drives. You never know when you're going to need it, but you're happy we're open 24 hours when it occurs. So, we work on all storage products, and, hard drives in particular, as most of us know who have them, they fail at some point in their life cycle. And unfortunately, they fail sometimes in, mechanical ways or firmware ways or a multitude of different failures. And they do it when your data is not backed up and you really need to present something the very next morning.
Well, what types of devices does DriveSavers support?
Well, we work on what we say consumer through the enterprise. On the consumer side, we are absolutely inundated with smartphones these days, recovery of iOS, Android, Windows, and BlackBerry phones, digital camera media from all sorts of devices, lots of video, of course, then, of course, solid-state drives, hard drives, RAID arrays, storage area networks, everything, soup to nuts.
Well, what kind of problems are you running into with, say, mobile devices?
Well, with mobile devices, you just said it. It's a mobile device. That means the device is in motion, and so is the user. And they're creating unique content all the time, a.k.a. photos, videos, text messages, other things. And those devices have a tendency to break, get smashed, get dropped, end up in oceans, in swimming pools. All kinds of things happen to them, including the operating system going corrupt or the user forgetting their passcode, all of which lead to someone not having access to data that they probably did not have a chance to back up yet.
I think that's the definition of just about all of us, isn't it? We should have made a backup, but we didn't.
Well, that's true, and this is our 30th year in business of telling people to back up their data, and people still, unfortunately, not always doing so, and so we're always busy, 24 hours a day.
I was just wondering, a mobile device, an SSD drive, this is just chips, and if you get it wet, I mean, how do you recover data from some of these solid-state devices?
Well, we just spent the last 3 days at Flash Memory Summit, the premier show on this side of the world for flash devices in Santa Clara, and we were talking about data recovery there from solid-state drives. And, well, it's a magic wand and a very special voodoo doll, and when you place them right next to the SSD, the bits magically fly off onto a backup media.
It's just amazing, the technology that's available. I would say that's very close to magic, if you ask me.
Well, it is, and that magic includes a little bit of secret sauce and a whole lot of R&D, which is where we spend a lot of the cycles with the group I work with, which is trying to figure out all these new technologies, and a lot of it is flash, of course, and how they fail and how we can recover them.
Well, let's switch back up. A lot of the folks that watch the Buzz are media creators, and they're dealing with very, very large files on large storage devices like hard disks and RAIDs. If a hard drive crashes, what should we not do, and what should we do to have the highest likelihood of getting our data back?
That's an excellent question. If we're talking about any type of failure that on a hard drive or a solid-state drive for that matter, even a logical failure, which would be a deletion or an accidental format, that's a data loss. Powering down the unit is absolutely the best thing to do. In some cases, and we don't like to recommend this to a user for safety concerns, cutting power to the device rather than properly shutting it down, although not necessarily something you would typically do, can actually help in a data loss situation because the file system doesn't necessarily have a chance to update. And in some cases, you can cut power to the device or pull power to the device if it's not a notebook, and the drive goes down hard, but it's possible that that simple step will save some of the things that we want to recover. Now, if it's a mechanical failure and you actually hear the drive clicking, knocking, making noise of any sort, that is likely a physical failure within the device, and it's mechanical, and it's going to get worse. So you absolutely need to power that thing down ASAP, because the last thing we want is media failure or head crash, which is one of the most catastrophic failures.
Well, should we do things like running a data repair program? I mean, because clearly DriveSavers is wonderful, but it ain't free. And what should we do to, like, a first triage before sending it in to you?
Excellent question. So if it's a case of what, again, we would call a logical data loss, where the device is okay, but the data has been lost, or it's corrupt, or it won't mount, for example, there are free and inexpensive utilities out there, absolutely tons of them, that can do a great job of recovering data. But the gotcha is that you want to be in a read-only state with a read-only utility, because you don't want to make any modifications to the file system that might actually cause additional loss or overwrite the data. So if you're going to run software, run read-only. If you happen to have the opportunity to make an image of your drive prior to doing that, like a clone of your drive with Carbon Copy Cloner or whatever Acronis tool, that's great. But if it's a physical failure and the drive is actually making noise, or there's something mechanically wrong with it, stop, drop, and roll.
What are some of the best practices to protect data, and what do you advise for backups?
Well, there's a pretty simple rule to remember that gives you excellent, what I would say, well, it should be the mandatory minimum type of backup protection. And it's the 3-2-1 plan. 3 copies of your data on at least 2 different external sources as well, and at least one of those being off-site. So you want to keep that primary copy on whatever your source media is, if that's possible. I realize for videographers and filmmakers and things like that, they're ingesting a lot of data. But that 3-2-1 approach will give you a lot of protection. It's not absolute by any means, but it does give you that ability to have multiple copies locally that you physically own and can touch, and ideally one off-site, with the consideration of cloud, if cloud is appropriate for your type of data and the volume that you push.
One of the things that you guys do, I was struck in the introduction that you also do forensics work. What's forensics?
Forensic work, when it regards to data, is simply producing data as evidence. It used to be evidence was fingerprints, hair, blood splatters, things like that. Well, evidence today is your phone, your Twitter feed, your public Facebook account, your LinkedIn page, and everything else that we get on your smartphone. And when law enforcement and the legal community are looking for data from a particular device that was either used in civil cases or in criminal cases, producing that data so that it can be held up as viable evidence in a court of law is what forensics and data is all about.
So it's not just recovering data from a cell phone that was intentionally destroyed, but it's proving that the information that's on the cell phone actually was on the cell phone. It wasn't injected later? ?
Absolutely. To put it in layman's terms, we say that the data has to tell a story. And the extraction of that data comes with chain of custody and secured engineers only touching the device, an audit trail, and a very large report of everything that we've found on the device, including possibly looking for the needle in the haystack or the smoking gun evidence or that one email that was deleted. That will be the part of the evidence they need in the court.
Before we run out of time, I know that DriveSavers recently partnered with Kingston. What does this mean for us?
Yeah, well, Kingston cares a lot about their customers and a lot about their quality, and they have a special program called Kingston Care, which says that they'll do anything to take care of a customer if they need to. And basically, DriveSavers is now offering data recovery service for the rare and kind of unique ways that drives can die. And if a Kingston customer has a situation, we're the best option to help the customer recover the data.
And Chris, for people that need more information or your help, where can they go on the web?
Well, they can find us at DriveSavers.com. We have a good web presence and out in the social media as well. You can find us at all kinds of technical trade shows and on the road as well. And we're always available 24 hours a day at 800-440-1904.
And Chris Bross is the Chief Technology Officer for DriveSavers Data Recovery. And Chris, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks so much for the opportunity to speak with your viewers.
That was fun. Thanks.